everyone. Welcome to the Name One Player podcast. My name is Nicole. I am your host. And before we get into the episode, I just want to say a huge thank you to every single person for hitting play today. If you like the Name One Player podcast, I would love it if you could subscribe to the show, like the show, rate the show, whatever platform you're listening on. Some of the platforms give you an option to comment on the episode, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can also follow the Name One Player podcast on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe on YouTube. I would absolutely love and appreciate that. And thank you. If you've already done it, you're a star. I love that. Today's episode, we have Charlotte on with us, and she has spent so many years working in sports in London. And we are going to be discussing a bit of a sports controversy, if you will, and that is Sky Sports Halo. So for anybody who doesn't know, Sky Sports Halo was a TikTok account, and they are a little side section of Sky Sports, which is a huge sports media company, I guess, as a subsection of the Sky Group, which is the biggest media company in Europe. So, bit of a scandal, the way that they went about it. It was not done in a way that most women who love sports appreciated. I certainly did not appreciate it, and Charlotte did not appreciate it. And this episode today with Charlotte, we are going to talk all about our opinions on Sky Sports Halo, what we thought went wrong, what we thought the intention was, and if we think they can come back from this, if Sky Sports Halo will make a comeback in the way that women actually want. So let's hop into it. We have Charlotte waiting for us. So without further ado, please welcome Charlotte. All right, everybody, we have Charlotte here with us today. Char, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm really well, thank you. I'm so sorry. I've just got off a 8-hour flight, so I feel like my brain is like very all over the
Stop.
place, but we'll be good. It's okay.
Girl, okay, also too, when you told me that you were available after 5 p.m., I had to go back and double check that you said UK time, because everybody listening too, you're in London now, 5 p.m. for you, it's 9 a.m. for me in Vancouver.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
I'm so sorry.
I'm like, girl, it's Monday morning. I had to get up. This is good. This is the perfect start to my week. But I'm sorry for you. You just got off of a flight?
I know I've been in Nashville for the last month, so my brain is in like a completely different time zone getting back
Oh,
to it. I didn't sleep
wow.
on the flight either, so it's brutal.
You poor thing. Okay, Shar, so tell me and everybody listening a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, oh my gosh. So I spent the last 6.5 years working in sports. I worked at TalkSport, which is the largest radio station in Europe and for all sports content, sports platform. We cover everything from the World Cup, Premier League, NBA, NFL. I'm still not clued up on my NFL. I'm so sorry. You're going to have to teach me. It's my 7th year and I still don't have any clue what goes on apart from the fact they do a really good frozen marg at Wembley when they play the game
Oh,
every year. Very, very good. It's my
good
highlight
to
of
know. Good to
the
know. Okay.
Yeah, and then after that, I went to Publicis. We worked on esports campaigns, Champions League, gosh, pretty much everything and anything UK sports related. We did the NBA, TNT Sports rebrand. So I'm very sports orientated, sports focused. Grew up playing, have been lucky enough to work in it and kind of be in the industry, behind the scenes, at the front of the scenes, working with TalkSport and Publicis. So I've really had both sides of the spectrum, which has been amazing. But yeah, amazing to work in sports and experience the kind of joy and pageantry of sports.
I love that. Okay, so you have so much experience, which is so cool. And everybody listening today, we are actually going to be splitting this episode up a little bit. So, this first episode, we are really doing a deep dive into Sky Sports Halo. But if you are interested in learning more about Char's sports history, which I'm sure you are, just given that little blurb, definitely listen to the episode that is going to come out on Thursday. We will get further into all of that with Char. But you then are very qualified to speak on Sky Sports Halo, considering all of your experience working in sports. I'm sure you probably had lots of interactions with Sky Sports in
Yeah.
your 6.5 years working in sports in the UK. But it's funny, but we might as well just hop into it. Why not? I woke up on Friday morning, I think it
Okay.
was, and like was just scrolling through TikTok, that which is the worst habit. Like, don't wake up and then go on TikTok. Like, that will
Do
ruin your
one
day.
scroll instantly.
That's my morning routine, which is so bad. But I wake up and I see some of the people that I follow talking about Sky Sports Halo. And I'm like looking, I'm like, what is this? I scroll through and it was like by the third time I saw Sky Sports Halo, I'm like, what the hell is this? If you haven't seen what Sky Sports Halo was, because we'll get into the whole timeline of it, but Sky Sports, the Sky Group, which is like Sky News, Sky Sports, everything underneath Sky, is
Yeah.
the biggest media company in Europe. It's not this like little media company that like oopsies like made a little mistake. Like, they are the leaders in media, I would say. One of the leaders, one of the main people at the table. So then I look, and Sky Sports Halo is this TikTok account that calls themselves Sky Sports Lil Sis. And by the time I saw it, I don't know if you saw the original TikToks, but by the time I saw it, it was only like 4 videos. And the videos that I saw, like, honestly weren't that bad. But then when I saw screen recordings, actually, if you did you see the original videos?
Yeah, they got sent to me and I was like, oh, this is an interesting concept. What does Erling Haaland have to do with matcha?
Okay,
But
so can you tell everybody what the TikToks that did get deleted were?
yeah, so one of them was I can't pronounce his name, I'm so sorry. The new Prime Minister of New York, being like, Prime Minister? No, that's the wrong word.
The
That's the
mayor, the mayor.
um the concept I think was something about Arsenal and a comparison of him and getting rizzed up. And I was like, this is again for a UK audience. That's so
Oh,
strange.
that is interesting. I didn't see that at all. Okay.
Yeah. First of all, I was like, what does Riz even mean? I'm too old at this point. Second of all, how is there any comparison between the new mayor of New York City and Arsenal Football Club? Like
Wow.
the weird comparison there. It felt like they were on that one just really jumping on a trend for the sake of it.
Yes.
And what does that have to do with women and their engagement in sports? The
Yeah.
whole concept behind it was to champion women and their positions and success in sports. What does that have to do with anything? In the kindest way possible. And then the other one was Halland scoring and something about this is how a matcha and hot girl walk combo hits. I'm like, okay, so this man scoring an incredible strike is how a matcha hits. First of all, I've never had a matcha. I don't drink tea or coffee. I'm a broken English person. I should get me out of this country. I'm not allowed here anymore. I just don't understand. I think the intention, potentially good, the execution, absolutely horrific. There is
Yes.
no foundation for anything that they built on this thing.
I completely agree. And I wrote down too, it just seemed like they were jumping on trends, and we'll get into that part of it, but you mentioned intention. So we don't know for sure what the intention was. But what do you think the intention was with Sky Sports Halo?
It's hard to say. There's a real kind of inference for me that it's taking women outside of that realm of sports, which I really hate. It kind of feels like disengagement from the main accounts, and women can't be in those spaces or comment
Yeah.
on them, which I really, really dislike. I assume the intent was positive in terms of we're going to give women a new place, but you are essentially, when you are using this verbiage, you're dumbing down sports for women and being like, you can only understand this man's success if we put it in a term that females use on TikTok,
Yeah.
which is so detrimental and harmful for female athletes, for women that work in sports, for fans. It is essentially taking away kind of all of your support and saying, you can only support this when we give you these different emojis to use. You can't
Yeah.
understand if you're a fan watching in the stands, how are you going to understand if we don't give you X, Y, and Z tools to understand what's going on in the game, which is
Yeah.
just not the case. It takes away the enjoyment for women, I think, and it puts it into a place where women have to feel they can only support something if it's what someone else posts in their content.
Totally, totally. And a couple of things to that too, because It's been interesting to see, and, like, I love pink, I love glitter. The whole branding of
Yes.
the No One Player podcast is pink and glittery, and, like, I said this in a TikTok that I posted. I was just trying to figure out, like, what to make for the logo before I posted the podcast for the first time, and I looked down at my nails and they just happened to be the same color. So I'm like, "Okay, let's go with this." Love it. And there is that fine line, how you mentioned about trends. Like, of course, when you're posting things on social media, you want to look at what's trending if you want to get engagement. Like, of course, trending
Absolutely.
sounds and just like the whole Love Island trend, like that was a huge thing. And sports teams were using that. And like the summer I turned pretty, like that. There's one thing to lean into trends and attach that to sports, but then it's another thing to unveil this new platform, call it the little sister of Sky Sports, which I also wrote down here too. I tried to figure out how many followers Sky Sports has across their platforms, and there's too many, and I hate math, so I didn't do it. But Sky Sports themselves have said that they have 100 million followers and subscribers across all platforms. So, how you kind of said putting the women to the side and like a different place than their main platform, it really did seem like they were like, "Okay, we want women to be engaged, but we don't want it on the main. We don't
Yeah.
want this for these 100 million, not men, because of course, I don't know that it's a 50% thing. It probably is not a 50-50 split between the audience, but there's so many female audience members of Sky Sports and all sports platforms. But I do just want to read here, well, okay, actually, I was gonna read their statement that Sky Sports Halo has now put out since they have deleted, spoiler for everybody, they have now deleted all of their TikToks. They've deleted their TikToks, but they did not delete their bio. And I don't know if this is just me being silly, but I'm mad because this is so dumb. But I have in my TikTok bio just a bunch of sports emojis. I always have. I just was like, I don't know how to get across that like this is a podcast for literally all sports
Yeah.
without, like, you only have a certain character limit in your bio. So I'm like, let's just put like all the sports emojis that I can and just like put them down. And I've had that since I made the TikTok back in March of 2024. And I post my thoughts on Sky Sports Halo. This could be a complete coincidence. Truly, it could be. And they again only had the bio like Sky Sports little sis, the little sparkle emoji. And then I post it, and then somebody comments on the TikTok that I made. I don't know if this is like common across podcast templates or whatever, but like Sky Sports Halo now has a bunch of emojis and it looks exactly like your bio. And I was like, what the hell? So I don't know who was running their social media. I don't know what this team did, but that's also on my list of what they did wrong is they
Yeah.
ripped me off, which maybe they didn't. I don't know.
Absolutely not.
I think they did. I think they did, but we'll never know. I did say when I lived in London, I did know some people who worked at Sky Sports, so I was gonna call them and be like, "Who did this?" and tell them to delete their bio.
This is mine.
We're not gonna do that. Okay, so you see these TikToks, and you said that you got sent some of them.
Yeah.
I hope that the idea was to make a space for women and not necessarily a separate space because I'm sure the people at Sky Sports know sometimes the comment section with the misogynists can be a really difficult place for women, especially when they are posting women's sports. Like I think of the Lionesses, like when they did so well. Like the comments and just the discourse surrounding women's sports was unfortunately quite gross. And it's one thing for Sky Sports to realize that and be like, you know what, let's create a safer space for women. That's kind of their own space. Why not? And
Yeah.
if they had gone about it with that lens, which honestly is like what the Name One Player podcast is, I noticed that there was not a space for women to talk about sports without men just kind of jumping down our throats and being like, Name One Player, you don't know what you're talking about, all of this. And I was like, okay, let's make a fun little girly space where we can just talk about this. I do think it's a very different thing when, again, Sky Group, Sky Sports, these 100 million followers across all platforms, like so much power and influence.
Yeah.
They could easily be like, hey, guys, let's not do this in the comment section. Women's sports are very important, instead of calling women's sports the little sister of the main Sky Sports.
Do you know what I found interesting as well? That the first few posts were all male content related.
That's so true.
You can't launch a TikTok that's entirely allegedly dedicated to supporting female athletes and empowering women into sports. And your first posts are all about men
Facts.
and raising people up.
Yeah.
And I get it, like Carlos Alcaraz, he's incredibly, incredibly important to the sports sphere. But what does he have to do with women's sports? If you wanted to champion a woman in sports in that tournament, go for Emma Raducanu. Like any woman who is playing at that tournament is more valuable to your content and to your alleged idea than Carlos Alcaraz. I mean that in the nicest way. I think he's an incredible athlete, lovely person. But if your entire MO is to target women in sports, what you are kind of doing by posting men is saying, hey, we don't want you on the main account, but here's like a space to talk about these men and like put in the comment section how gorgeous they are. Women can enjoy sports just because they enjoy sports, not because they want to focus on the men or the athletes. You know, you can watch a Champions League game and not know a single thing about either of the two teams, but you know it's going to be an incredible match just because of the nature of the tournament. But you can also put on an English Women's Premier League game and know that you're going to get an equally incredible match. Why are you using your platform that is allegedly pro women and pro females in sports to champion more men? It feels like a complete target miss. And then I saw in the comments too of them defending it, being like, oh, you've taken it the wrong way, blah, blah, something to that kind of verbiage. They've just completely missed the mark on what women one, and you are taking away space from women in your main accounts and saying you can't be here but you can be in this account to say that you find this man attractive.
Yeah.
That feels like the kind of synopsis of it all.
Yes, I completely agree. And that is such a, I don't even know if complex is the right word, but interesting. We'll just go with that because I also too do take on the stance of like, I mean, I am a straight woman. I do find men attractive. And I think Joe Burrow is one of the hottest men in the whole entire world.
Oh, gorgeous.
And I got my hair done the other day, and my stylist, I was just telling her about the Name One Player podcast, and she was telling me that she got into football because I don't remember what, it might have been Joe Burrow actually. No, it was Joe Burrow because then we talked about how I have an episode called Joe Burrow is Hot. And she loves football. She knows so much about it. She says she knows more about than her husband does, and he kind of got her into it, but like she loves it. And I am of the in the party of like if you're a woman or a man and you get into sports because you find a player attractive, that's
Good
fine.
to see you. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But then it's like, is it hypocritical of me to say that Sky Sports shouldn't necessarily be going down that road? I mean, maybe, but I do think that's a very different thing.
I think, like you said, it's a complete different situation. It's one thing for a brand who have 100 million followers to say, you can only participate in this section of the internet that we've carefully designed and curated for you because we want you to be excluded from everything else we post, to, hey, this player's hot. Like, the fact is, they're probably hot. Whatever gets women into sports, amazing. But there's a difference between kind of segregation and empowering female sports fans.
Totally, totally. Again, the Name One Player podcast was created because I felt like there was not a space for women to talk about sports openly without men being annoying.
Yeah.
And that essentially that's what it is.
If
And
you're on like male football Twitter, if you ever see it, it's brutal.
no, I'd
Like,
be afraid to do that. Oh my
I kind of
God.
am every time I open my phone. Do you know what was really rough for me? Like, long story, I think everyone knows my ex is a professional athlete. And when he was on the ATP tour, because there's such a gambling nature with tennis, the amount of abuse he would get or the girlfriends would get when they lost is insane. Like the comment sections are just wild. And maybe I understand in the concept of Sky Sports kind of giving women a space. But men are invariably going to be in that space anyway and take up room in that comment section.
Yes.
That's one thing I find polarizing about it, but I also find it incredibly weird how entitled people feel to speak on kind of professional athletes' lives and comment. on that side of things too, and kind of a different vein.
Yeah, that is so true because again, too, they've deleted the TikToks. I didn't even see the ones about the matcha and the hot girl walk, so I can't imagine that must have been a freaking field day for the misogynists in those comments. But it was
Yeah.
when they were interviewing a footballer, I believe. I'm not sure who it was, and it was a woman, and they were fun questions, and immediately my brain went to being like, one, why can't this be on the main Sky Sports? But then also the questions were quite like unserious, which sometimes is fun. Sometimes it is fun to see that like silly side of the athletes and that more
Yeah.
like human side of it. But the comments of like so many women and men were being like, why couldn't you just put this on the main one? And then
Yeah.
so many men replying, be like, because women's sports aren't relevant and like we don't want to see that. And it's just there were hundreds of them. And it's like Sky Sports literally created this place for the misogynist to then completely like beg on women's sports, and I do like to think a lot of them were just trolls and trying to rage bait people, whatever, which is so sad. Like, why are you doing that with your
Yeah.
life? But it's just so tough. You mentioned before we hit record that you have a little bit of insider info about how Sky Sports Halo came to be. So if you're willing to share, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, so I am invariably a very outspoken human. I have lots of opinions and I share them all the time. I saw it and saw everything and posted on Instagram, as I like to take to my stories, to be like, this is cool, this is fun, or this is not so good. And one of my friends responded, who is pretty senior at a sports company. He got sent the embargo by a woman about 6 months ago. And the concept was incredibly different from what the actual execution was. And they originally had a team of women that pitched it, and then it turned into males taking over the TikTok or kind of co sharing. And again, everyone in sports is always incredibly welcome and empowered. If you are creating a space for women, I think it should be kind of led by women and heard by women. The original idea sounds great, the execution not so good.
See, and that makes total sense because and I didn't see this part. I just saw it in a TikTok comment, so who knows if it's true. But somebody did say that somebody in Sky Sports posted on LinkedIn that like this was originally by women and
Yeah.
it was an idea by women. So like if that's true and it sounds like it is, that's great. But then there really is such a difference, exactly what you said, between the idea and the execution. And it does make sense that this execution was done by people who were not clear on what women want to see. What
Yeah.
if it was men or women, who knows? It makes sense that it was men, but even if it was women, it just sounds like the whole team did not do enough research on what people are looking for. It sounds like they just did some research on TikTok and saw trending audios and trending hashtags and all of that, and then we're like and did see, again, like I said, other companies and other social media content creators attaching sports to these trends. But again, it is so different when other people do that versus Sky Sports.
Yeah.
And I do think it's fair to say that Sky Sports should be held to a different standard. ESPN, like even Talksport, like things like that,
Yeah.
like they are reputable, and not that other people are, like I like to hope that I'm reputable too, but it's like it's just it's a very different air to it. They have now since deleted all of their TikToks. I don't even know what day it was. Maybe yesterday or
Yeah, it was over
Saturday.
the weekend.
Okay. So to be fair, this was really only this was over a span of not that many days. But Sky Sports Halo has it's the black screen. I always laugh when you get a black screen post. And it says, our intention for Halo was to create a space alongside our existing social channels for new, young female fans. We've listened, we didn't get it right. As a result, we're stopping all activity on this account. We're learning and remain as committed as ever to creating spaces where fans feel included and inspired. Something interesting there is that they say that it's for the new, young female fans. And I'm trying to see if I have the original tweet quickly here. Oh, I do actually. So, the original tweet that Sky Sports put out about Sky Sports Halo, they said introducing Sky Sports Halo, the Lil Sis of Sky Sports, a new TikTok channel created specifically for female sports fans. We're about all sports and championing female athletes. We're here for the culture, community, and connection. We don't just watch sports, we live it. That was written by AI. Like that's an AI thing if I've ever seen it, because like you said too, they say that they're for female sports fans and championing female athletes and sports fans, but then it's like the first couple were about men, and then they do say that it's all sports, and that's like contradicting in itself, but no mention of it being the younger fan, the newer fan. The original one was kind of saying that it's for people who live sports. So that's not necessarily a newer fan. And a lot of criticism that they did get too was like, hey, we're not teenagers. Like, why are you infantilizing us? Like, we're not a little sis. Like, why are you doing this?
That, yeah, it's kind of dumbing down sports for
Yes.
women. Can understand what's happening as long as there's a reference to female pop culture or
Yes.
something we think women connect with. You are polarizing an entire audience, and you say you're kind of about collaboration and community when you are targeting such a niche demographic. You say you're for all women. Women in their 60s, respectfully, they probably don't know what a labubu is or a matcha. Even I don't connect with that kind of aspect. And I am someone who is so closely around and has been involved with it for 6 years. I've created and worked on some of the largest advertising campaigns in the world that target females in sports. We did an entire campaign about the lionesses. We published a book about the lionesses, which it ended after I think 17 pages, I could be wrong, to kind of correlate with when women drop out of sports. We've
Wow.
got yeah, it's an incredible how I have it here.
Okay.
It's wicked. It's called Unfinished. And it was Ellen White, who is one of the most popular English footballers. And you'll see kind of it's a gradient here. So it starts like a autobiography. And then it kind of gradiates and it blacks out at the point that women drop out of sports.
Oh my gosh. Okay, for everybody listening, this is going to be an audio version, but go to YouTube to check out this video version because that is so freaking cool. And I had her name was Megan. She is a sports trainer, and she used to work at a sports school, essentially this really big one in North America. And that they did a whole campaign like very similar to that it's like young women, they drop it's so common for them to drop out of
Yeah.
sports at that age because they're just not supported in the same way that young boys are. So that is
Yeah.
so freaking cool. And we will get further into that into the next episode when we talk all about European football. So again, spoiler, everybody, if you want to hear more about that, listen to the next episode. But that is so cool. And again, like so inspiring. And Sky Sport, like, also too, they have all the freaking money in the world. That's the part that gets me. Like, it's one thing too, like, they're so reputable, like I said, and they have all these followers, but they have money. They have money to conduct the proper research. They have money to make this, like, very inspiring. They have money to, like, edit these videos incredibly. They don't have to take random sports clips and then put this pink font over it. They don't have to do that. It's Sky Sports.
But also, like, the knowledge that this was a 6-month project, at least.
Yeah.
If it was embargoed 6 months ago, you're looking at like a 6 to 9 month timeline, realistically. In that time, how has it been positioned that this is a good idea? Imagine with all the people that were hired, let me guess about 1 million in salary, probably realistically,
Okay.
advertising fees, you have an in-house agency, they have an external agency too. You are probably looking at like 3 to 4 million on this one project in terms of how much money they've sunk into it. Think of how catastrophically bad this has gone down to cancel this within 4 days. You have pulled a 9-month project in 4 days because of how bad the backlash is. If that doesn't show you that you've not completely missed the mark, what does? And you can kind of turn around and be like, we're going to rebrand it. You can't rebrand something where the execution's so poor that everyone kind of feels polarized and alienated from what you've
Mm.
done. It's just not going to work.
That is such a cool perspective that you have, all of your experience, but then also working in publicity and all of this. Because
Yeah.
that's crazy when you put it in perspective, that amount of money and that amount of time, and that's what they came up with. That's
That's it. Yeah.
insane. What do you think's gonna happen with Sky Sports Halo? Do you think that they can come back from this? Do you think that they will come back from this? Or you think it's done?
There's no universe in which this is something that's restorable or becomes reputable given how bad the launch was. I think from having been on the other side of this, you spend the entire first few weeks being like, let me look at the engagement on this. Let's see what people are saying, how this has landed, how the press is around this. When every single person, even men on the internet, are saying you completely missed the mark, you cannot go back from that. You have to sit down and say, I'm really sorry, we screwed up. In their defense, they have,
Yeah.
but even still, just with how long that's taken, you cannot launch something that bad with that long of a timeline. It's insane.
Okay, well, like you said, well, 2 things to that. Yes, the men who were in the comments being like, "What the hell is this? This is so bad. Like, why did you do this?" And I really appreciated seeing that because this is also this has come up time and time again in the conversations that I have with women on here is that like it's so refreshing and important though to see men in these comments kind of, and I hate saying standing up for us because I'm a very independent woman and like nobody needs to stand up for me, but it's nice to have men who love sports realize like, hey, this is really messed up. Like this side of the internet is really crazy and like standing up for that. But what you said too, that Sky Sports Halo has taken, I guess, accountability. I don't know.
Level of accountability, yeah.
Yeah, would you call it that? So my question for you is how do you feel about their little statement that they put out after this whole dumpster fire of a couple of days?
I think it's been a crisis weekend for them, and they should have waited till Monday morning to get someone or get a full team's opinion, not put it out over the weekend. I think there's no real difference between doing this on a Sunday and doing this on a Monday. Like, all
Interesting.
you are saying is this has gone down so bad for us that we need to fix this ASAP and get out of here and hightail it. Or you're saying, actually, we've taken some time to reflect. This is not what we intended. We've completely missed the mark. I think it's kind of shameful as well that they've said this was our intention and this is what we wanted to do, but they've not said actually we just screwed up.
Yeah. I think too when they're saying this was our intention, that's the part that gets me and almost annoys me and puts a bad taste in
Yeah.
my mouth, saying that it's for the younger fan because no, it wasn't. It was not for the younger fan. You're only saying that because women were upset that you're making us look dumb or you just don't know anything. Children don't know anything. They haven't lived anything. They don't know. So you're going to say that it's for the younger fan? No, you never once said that. You're only saying that now because women are saying we're not stupid, we're not young. Why are you
Yeah.
infantilizing us?
I'd be interested to see with the embargo, which maybe I'll try to get my hands on, I'll try to be sneaky.
Ooh.
See what the target demographic was. Because in my brain, it would be from like 18 to 25.
Yeah.
I don't categorize that as a young fan. Like a
Yeah.
young fan
No.
for me is like a 13-year-old
Yes.
who is on TikTok or experiencing kind of the hype around sports for the first time. To me, an 18-year-old is someone who is pretty much able to make their own decisions and understand what they enjoy and what they don't enjoy without references to badly tasted coffee.
No,
Sorry, I'm a what you've all learned from this is I hate matcha.
I
I
hate
don't
matcha
stand it.
too. Me too, and that's what I said. It's like I love a hot girl walk, I really do, but I'll take a latte with me. But you don't even drink coffee, right?
No, this is a Diet Coke.
I was kind of wondering what you had in your mug when you said you didn't have
Uh,
coffee. That's so freaking
no
funny.
branding.
That is too good. You know what? That would be a good branding thing for Diet Coke to make like Diet Coke mugs. Like you want to have a
Oh
nice
my
little like
god.
morning coffee, no, have a Diet Coke.
Oh my god, my dream. They once sent me like a sparkly Diet Coke and it was the best thing in the world. And then I had it after like 3 years and it went flat and it was kind of jank.
Oh,
But I still
that's
have the
too bad.
bottle. But
I
I was
love
like,
it.
thank you. I appreciate this. I respect this. No, I'm so bad I don't drink tea, coffee, or like water. It's
The water one is the worst.
I'm so dehydrated at any given time. It's insane.
That is too good. All right, Shar, thank you so much. This has been so fun. And thank you too for kind of like experimenting with this new episode format. I figured that we would have a lot to say with this, but I also really want to get more into your experience working in sports, especially to this book that you put out. Sounds
Yeah.
so incredible. And the whole reason we're doing this episode too, well, also Sky Sports Halo, but you commented on one of my NFL TikToks and you're like, we have to do a European football episode soon. I'm like, okay, well, you have to come on. And then you're like, okay, done. And I was like, okay, perfect. So if you want to hear more from Shar, which I obviously know that you do, definitely go to our next episode and we'll get more into it. But Shar, thank you so much for coming on and chatting about Sky Sports Halo. This was just such a different perspective, especially from the publicist side of it. So it was
Yeah.
really cool picking your brain on that.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Shar. Thank you so much to Charlotte for coming on. Such a cool perspective working in sports in London, where Sky Sports is headquartered. And then also that advertising and publicity side of it. I've never really thought of that. So thank you, Charlotte, for sharing your expertise and your perspective. Again, if you would like to see the video version of this podcast, go to YouTube, go check out the book that Charlotte worked on. It is so cool and honestly such an inspiring project. We are going to have Charlotte on for another episode to talk more in depth about her work in sports and her football fandom, her soccer fandom. We're going to chat all things football, and I am so excited for that episode. So definitely go listen to that one. If you're listening to this on the day that this episode comes out, the next episode with Charlotte will be out on Thursday, but if you're listening to this after this episode has come out, it's been out for a few days, who knows how long, definitely go and check out the next episode with Charlotte. It is an amazing conversation, and I know that you're going to love it. All right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here, but again, I just want to thank every single person for hitting play today. I am so happy and appreciative that you joined along for this conversation that me and Charlotte had. I would love it if you could engage with the Name on Player podcast in any way you would like. Whatever platform you're listening on, if you could subscribe, follow, rate the episode. Some platforms let you comment on the episode, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on Sky Sports Halo and the conversation that Charlotte and I had. All right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here, but I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day and rest of your week. All right, everyone, take care. Bye.